So in this next part, we're going to be taking a look at how we go about naming attachment groups that are on the benzene ring. And so if we were to sort of go back to our basic rules, they also apply here with the naming of the different groups that come off of the main benzene ring. So if we take a look at this very first example over here, again, if we take a look, there is this attachment group coming off of the benzene ring. And so in this case over here, if we were to take a look, this is your methyl group. And then so in this case over here, we have the benzene. Now, one of the things that you want to keep in mind is that when we have a benzene ring, we don't need to include the locations of the double bonds simply because it is understood that there are double bonds on alternating pairs of carbons. And so all that we have over here is that we just call this a benzene. Now, we might then go ahead and say, oh, well, let's number this. But again, it is understood that if there's only a single attachment group, then this has to be the first carbon. And so in this case over here, it is not necessary to have to identify that as carbon 1. And so in this case, the naming here is going to be just methyl, and then we follow it with a benzene. So this molecule over here is called methylbenzene. Now, if we take a look here at the second example right here, that we now have two groups. Again, what we do is we take a look at the two groups. So over here, this is going to be my methyl. And then over here, we have here is our ethyl. And in this case over here, we have now our benzene ring. And so when we now begin counting, we use the same rule as before, which is to say that we have to give the heavier group the priority. And so when I number this, this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, I go in the counterclockwise direction because it's going to give me the smallest numerical combination for the carbon locations of the two groups. And so the third thing that I have to remember is that I have to list these groups out alphabetically. So ethyl is now going to come before methyl. And so in this case over here, the name of this is going to be 1 ethyl. And then I'm going to have 2 methyl, and then it's going to be followed by a benzene. Now, if I take a look at the third example, which is down here, again, we have the same group. So this is going to be your methyl. This over here is going to be your ethyl. And then this is now going to be your benzene. And so in this case, again, our numbering is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I name this, again, I start with the E before the M. And so I'm going to be writing 1 ethyl, and then it's going to be followed by 3 methyl, and then it's going to be benzene. And then for this last example up here, if you now notice our groups, they are now at the 1 and 4 positions. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you were to actually go the other way, you're going to notice that the numbers are just going to be identical. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so in this case over here, this will now be 1 ethyl, 4 methyl, benzene. So in this case over here, the basics of this is the naming rules still continue to apply for the naming of the groups around the benzene. And so here you can see that once you know the rules, it's very, very easy to just continue them on into the different groupings and just apply them to the naming of the other hydrocarbon molecules.